All right guys, this is our third installment of the ASUS Z690 Hero motherboard, Maximus Hero motherboard fire/hazard debacle here. We're gonna be wrapping up with this one because this is probably the fastest we've seen a brand go from like, there's a problem to we're handling it that we've ever seen. And it's kind of sad that people are applauding that because that should always be the case. But I told you guys ASUS would handle this, and they absolutely have. So we'll get into that today. We'll tell you how to identify whether or not your board is affected by this, whether you have the backwards capacitor or not. There's a range that we need to talk about here, and we'll make this one quick and simple about getting the word out to as many people as possible. EVGA is proud to announce their new X570 for the Win motherboard. With multiple RGB and ARGB LED headers, fin stack heatsink switchable BIOS, and 15-phase digital VRM, the X570 for the Win motherboard brings EVGA's legendary build quality and performance to Ryzen processors. To learn more and see the full feature set, follow the link in the description below. Okay, so if you haven't seen our first two videos and you have no idea what we're talking about, the ASUS Z690 Maximus Hero motherboard was failing at a it's like the failure rate of it right now is accelerating. A lot of people on Reddit were talking about they were getting Q53 code, which means no RAM present, all the way to some charge marks or discoloration of the Q code readout going from red to like an orange, or all the way to just straight up full-on failed burned components of MOSFETs that are right there above the fourth DIMM slot. So that's pretty severe once fires and stuff are possible. It becomes a very serious matter. It's less, oh man, people's boards are failing and now they're out some time and effort of having to take it out and send it back, now to their boards caught fire, somebody could die from this. So it's nice to see that ASUS responded within 3 days of us putting out our video. So I'm going to read you their actual statement here. You can read it yourself, but I just want to go ahead and put this out non-verbatim. It says, ASUS, to our valued ASUS customers, ASUS is committed to producing the highest quality products, and we take every incident report from our valued customer very seriously. We have recently received incident reports regarding the ROG Maximus Z690 Hero motherboard. In our ongoing investigation, we have preliminarily identified a potential reversed memory capacitor. And I'm going to go ahead and pause right there for a second. There was confusion on whether or not that array, that MOSFET array and that capacitor had anything to do with memory. It was obvious it was causing an effect where memory wasn't showing up, where the boards that hadn't completely failed yet or caught fire were still working enough to have the system attempt to post, and it was going, hey memory, are you there? Hey, there's no memory here, because they wasn't getting power. So there clearly that was part of the memory array, obviously at that point. Let me go back a little bit here. Identified a potential reverse memory capacitor issue in the production process from one of the production lines that may cause debug error code 53, no post or motherboard component damage. That's a very soft way of saying could catch fire. The issue potentially affects units manufactured in 2021 with the part number 90MB18E0-MVAAY0 and serial numbers starting with MA, MB, or MC. You can identify your part number referring to product packaging. So here's a photo of where they're saying to look at, and you can see you don't have to take your board out to do this. If you still have the motherboard box, it'll be on the box. Serial numbers, manufacturing range, all that stuff is on the box. If you got rid of the box, then you're gonna have to look at the back of your motherboard, which means you're probably gonna have to uninstall it if it's already installed. As of December 28th, 2021, there have been a few incidents reported. I'm gonna say that's lawyer speak right there. There have been more than a few incidents reported. Let me pause there for a second. The amount of people that have emailed me saying, dear Jesus, thank you Jay for making this video. I have had this motherboard sitting here, but I haven't been able to finish my build. I've had probably 20 emails since that video went live 2 days ago. This is just to me, to those that took the effort and time to write me, which you know the number of people affected by this then is obviously higher, showing me photos of their backwards capacitor. There's a lot more in the wild than I think they're kind of letting onto here, but that's fine. They're acknowledging it, which is important. Of course, a brand is not going to want to be like, hey, we royally screwed up massively. I mean, this is, remember, this all goes through legal. The legal department is gonna read this and be like, how can we take responsibility without blanketly just throwing liability net out there and seeing who we catch, right? There's more than a few boards. And I can tell you by the amount of people that our video kept from powering up their boards, and they're all thanking me. By the way, don't thank me. I didn't break this story. I'm just one of the channels that decided to talk about it, which got BuildZoid involved, which got the confirmation of what appears to be wrong. And then I followed up on BuildZoid saying, hey, all of you guys check your boards, and this is what started coming back. I think it's a much bigger problem than there's more boards out there with issues than that's being led onto. Anyway, that's a side rant, moving on. There have been a few incidents reported in North America. Going forward, we are continuing our thorough inspection with our suppliers and customers to identify all possible affected ROG Maximus Z690 Hero motherboards in the market, and we'll be working with relevant government agencies on a replacement program. That part right there is the part that shows the responsibility that ASUS is taking. ASUS could have done all this without involving government agencies, period. All the government agencies are doing is they're filing an official recall. A recall effort internally is fine, but going the extra effort and actually telling the government agencies where these boards are sold, saying, hey, we've identified a problem, we need this problem to be officially registered and identified that we are handling said problem. There's two reasons for that. One, it casts a bigger net out there where if somebody looks up this particular board and a recall, it could pop up in that registry and say, yes, there is a recall for this. Second of all, it absolves ASUS from any appeared attempt of circumventing this and not taking responsibility. So they've put themselves out there liability-wise as responsible as they possibly can. And that's the part that people are saying, good job, ASUS, good job, way to go. And a lot of comments were also like, is it really, I don't want to restart right now. Is it really that amazing that a company is doing what they're supposed to do? In 2021, yes. We've had fires in 3 different major components that we know of in 2021 alone, regarding a graphics card, regarding a power supply, and regarding a case. And the amount of time it took for some of these to be handled and the amount of pressure that some of these brands needed to be leaned on with certain third-party media outlets, whether it be Steve or myself or anyone else, to get people to respond to this and identify that it's a problem regarding fire is a big deal. It's nice to see a company actually handling this. And I said in my video, it's not about whether or not a brand has a problem with a product. Every brand has problems with products at some point. Some small, some big. It's how you handle it. And in my opinion, by the fact that they went the extra mile initially and registered this as an official recall with the government, that's the part that shows the integrity. That's how you keep your customers. It's not customers will buy from a brand that doesn't have problems. It's customers that will buy from a brand that they stand behind their product, and when something's wrong, will handle it the right way. Anyway, it says if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact ASUS customer service. So, although I feel like there was a lot of lawyer speaking here, because I guarantee a statement like this had to go through the legal department, because lawyers, but they're handling it the right way. So, here's the range that you guys can look at. If your serial numbers start with an MA, MB, or MC, or you can even go a step farther and just identify whether that capacitor is backwards. It's funny, my personal statement on how you should handle this versus ASUS is probably gonna be a little bit different. ASUS is probably gonna say, if you have a product within this serial number range, return it, regardless whether the capacitor is backwards or not. In my opinion, because what they've essentially identified is the ones, because they have multiple manufacturers that handle this sort of stuff, and whether it be Foxconn or whatever, right? They have different plants doing this stuff, and they've identified that one particular plant had capacitors in there loaded backwards, and they're just gonna say, if it came from this assembly line, return it. I'm gonna personally say, if you look at your board and the capacitor's on there the right way, I'm not returning mine, even though I fall in this range, because I know what the problem is through the help of BuildZoid, and I'm not gonna return it. Legally though, I think ASUS would say, please return it if it's within this range. So, depending on what the manufacturing is like and how difficult it was to actually get Z690 boards at launch and how many of these are coming back, you might be waiting a while. So for me personally, if the capacitor is the right way, I would have peace of mind that everything's fine. If the capacitor is backwards, for the love of God, do not power it up. Won't fail right away, but it will fail guaranteed. All right guys, thanks for watching. That's a wrap of the ASUS Z690 Hero problem, unless for some reason their customer service side and handling of the returns completely goes foobar and then we'll have to talk about the customer service side of things. We won't be talking about this again. We will be talking to you guys again tomorrow though. Thanks for watching and we'll see you tomorrow.